We usually think of history as a story written down in books, but what happens when the words are just gone? Today, we're digging into two ancient worlds, one left behind these magnificent, totally silent cities. The other? Well, they left a story told in gold and stone. This is a journey into how we make the past give up its secrets, one little artifact at a time. So let's start with a real head-scratcher. Imagine you uncover the ruins of a civilization that was, in some ways, more advanced than many that came after it. I'm talking cities with perfect grid-like streets, incredible sanitation, massive public buildings, but you can't read a single word they wrote. How do you even begin to understand who they were? That right there is the huge puzzle of the Indus Valley Civilization. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? History is full of these buried secrets. The past is like a giant jigsaw puzzle, but with most of the pieces missing, probably forever. So it's the job of archaeologists to basically become detectives, searching for clues in the dirt. They're piecing together stories that have been silent for thousands of years. And to do that, they need a very specialized set of tools. Okay, so let's pop open the archaeologist's toolkit. To make the past speak, it's not just about, finding cool stuff. It's about understanding it. And really, it all comes down to two key questions. How did people live their lives, and when did they live them? The answers to both of those questions start with how you dig. This slide shows it perfectly. There are two main ways to dig. On the left, you've got vertical excavation. Think of it like cutting a slice of layer cake. You dig straight down through all the layers, or strata, and that reveals a timeline. You can see one culture building on top of the ruins of another. Then on the right, there's horizontal excavation. This is where you clear off one entire layer to get a snapshot in time, the layout of a whole village, for instance. So one tells you when things happened, and the other tells you how life was lived. Right, so you've found something. Now, how old is it? Well, relative dating, like that layer cake we just saw, just tells you that an object is older than the one found above it. Simple, but not super precise. That's where absolute dating comes in, and it's a game changer. Techniques like radiocarbon C14 analysis can measure the decay of radioactive carbon in things that were once alive, like bones or seeds, and give us a specific calendar date, give or take a few years. It's the difference between saying sometime before and saying around 2500 BCE. Okay, with our toolkit ready, let's go tackle our first big mystery, the Indus Valley. This was this sprawling, incredibly sophisticated world that was thriving over 4,000 years ago. They built these cities that could rival any on Earth at the time, and then they just vanished, leaving behind one of history's greatest enigmas. Just look at this. Without reading a single word, the architecture speaks volumes. You can see a raised citadel, probably for public buildings or rulers, and a lower town laid out in a perfect residential grid. And get this, the sanitation system was incredible, with covered drains and even manholes. The fact that this design is so uniform across huge distances tells us there must have been a powerful, highly organized central government. These people were amazing engineers and planners. And yet, for all that planning genius, there's just silence. Their writing, which we find on thousands of these little seals, is a complete and utter mystery. The inscriptions are super short. We're talking an average of just 5 symbols. We have no other languages we know it's related to, and, this is the big one, no Rosetta Stone to help us crack the code. Deciphering the script is truly the holy grail of linguistics. So if you can't read it, what do? You count it. Modern researchers are using AI and heavy-duty statistical analysis to study the 400-plus symbols they left behind. And guess what? They found clear patterns. Certain symbols, like the bull here, often appear with specific other symbols. Some symbols almost always show up at the end of a line. This proves it's a structured language with grammatical rules, not just a bunch of pretty pictures. It means we can actually see the structure, even if we can't yet hear the word. And just to give you a sense of how massive this challenge really is, back in 2000, a $1 million prize was offered to anyone who could finally decipher the script. To this day, that prize remains unclaimed. All right, now let's jump forward in time and clear across the subcontinent to our second case study, the Gupta Empire. Now, if the Indus Valley whispers to us through its silent architecture, the Guptas basically shout their story from every coin and stone they left behind. With them, the problem isn't a lack of information, it's that there's so much of it. One of the best tools we have for understanding the Guptas is numismatics, the study of coins. And we're not just talking about money here. In an age before TV or the internet, coins were like tiny, durable billboards that could travel everywhere. They tell us the order of the kings, how big their empire was based on where we find coin hoards, and even personal details. We only know one emperor married a certain princess because he minted a coin to celebrate it. And this is a perfect example of how rulers use them as propaganda. On the left, you've got the Emperor Samudragupta as the intellectual, a sensitive artist playing a lyre. But then on the right, he's the conqueror, showing off a massive horse sacrifice, which was a huge display of military power. It's like personal branding, but struck in solid gold for everyone to see. But coins can tell us a lot more than just the official story. See, rulers can shape their image, but they can't always hide a crisis. And as this chart shows, the metal itself doesn't lie. Late in the empire, under a king named Skandagupta, the coins suddenly got heavier, but the amount of actual gold in them plummeted. That's a classic sign of debasement, mixing in cheaper metals. It's a dead giveaway of a severe economic crisis that the official histories might have wanted to just gloss over. And it wasn't just coins. The Guptas carved their history right into stone and copper plates. These inscriptions give us the official story: eulogies praising the kings, long lists of their conquests, legal documents for land grants. This is how we know their names, their dates, their family trees, the exact kind of political history that is so deafeningly silent in the Indus Valley. So why? Why do we have these two completely different pictures of the past? A silent world of cities on one hand, and a talking world of kings on the other. Well, it all comes down to a really critical idea: what actually survives long enough for us to find it? This is what's called the bias of preservation. Think about it. Inorganic materials, stone, fired brick, metal, gold, they can last for thousands of years. But organic materials, wood, cloth, palm leaf manuscripts, they decay and disappear, especially in a place with a wet climate. This means history is automatically biased toward the stuff the elite used. The stone temples and palaces survive, but the mud and thatch homes of everyday people often vanish without a trace. And that brings our two worlds right back together. On one side, you have the Indus Valley, a world incredibly rich material stuff, but totally silent when it comes to text. We know how they lived, we can see their city plans and their plumbing, but we don't know who they were, what gods they prayed to, or even what they called themselves. On the other side, you've got the Gupta Empire, where rich texts give a voice to all the material things they left behind. We know their names, their battles, their economy, even their art. Ultimately, this is what archaeology is all about. It's the science of reconstruction. It reminds us that the past really is a puzzle that we are still solving, and that every artifact adds a sentence to the story of who we are. From a silent, mysterious seal to a golden, talkative coin, each piece helps us understand not just them, but ourselves. The puzzle is vast, and the story is still being written. The only question is, what will we unearth next?